I have been interested in film production for quite some time. One of the most fascinating parts of the development of a movie, I think, is how the script changes over time, how we get from the rough idea to the final product, and everything that gets altered along the way. If this, from script to screen video is popular, I might make more, but for now, let's focus on our subject, The Land Before Time. If you bring up The Land Before Time today, there will most likely be jokes about the many sequels it spawned over the years. And that's true. The original film has had 13 sequels and a TV series as of this video, all of varying quality. Because of this, people forget that the first movie from 1988 was genuinely good. It's a simple story about 5 young dinosaurs who are separated from their families and have to trek across the wasteland to find an oasis called the Great Valley. The director was Don Bluth, who was fresh off successes from The Secret of NIMH and An American Tail. Steven Spielberg had produced An American Tail, and returned to produce this one, with George Lucas co-producing. All 3 men are quite talented, but from stories I've heard about the production, there was a lot of butting of heads. According to the excellent book, The Animated Films of Don Bluth by John Cawley, Spielberg apparently thought of animation as a medium exclusively for children, which clashed with Bluth's darker tone. Spielberg initially wanted the movie to be dialogue-free, heavily inspired by the Rite of Spring sequence from Fantasia. Thankfully, people were able to talk him out of that. The movie's story was written by Judy Freudberg and Tony Geiss, who had previously written An American Tail. Their initial screenplay was reworked by Stu Krieger, who came up with phrases like long neck, sharp tooth, and tree star. The movie has become rather infamous in the eyes of animation fans for the cuts that were made to it in post-production. Allegedly, around 10 minutes of finished animation was cut out, and other scenes were heavily re-edited per Spielberg. In an interview with Don Bluth, he said that in the long run, while they were angry with Spielberg's cuts, he might have been right. The movie was a rousing success. I have to agree with him. Spielberg didn't get his reputation as a fantastic director for nothing. With all that said, I did come across a screenplay for The Land Before Time that appears to be one of the later drafts by Krieger. I can't show any of it in the video for legal reasons, so you'll have to take my word for it. With the help of concept art, screenshots of deleted scenes, and my own crew drawings, let's take a look at what changed before the final release. The script starts out the same as the movie. We begin underwater and soon find ourselves on the surface in the time of the dinosaurs. We see 3 of our 5 main characters hatch from their eggs, the curious sweet Ducky, the boisterous Sarah, and the sensitive Littlefoot. The big difference here is that there is no narrator present. In the final cut of the movie, perhaps because of the many edits that were made, a narrator was added. Something similar happened in a later Don Bluth movie, Rockadoodle, when the audiences had trouble following the story. Thus, the first line of dialogue uttered in the script by Littlefoot's mother would have come in about 7 minutes into the movie. There definitely would have been more of a Fantasia vibe here. The other difference is Littlefoot's name. He was originally called Thunderfoot in the script, and the name pops up on several model sheets as well. The next change comes when Littlefoot and Sarah are attacked by the Sharptooth. A good deal of footage was cut or re-edited here. Sharptooth is partially blinded by a bramble earlier in the storyboards, for example, than he is in the movie. There's also a moment where Littlefoot and Sarah take a risk and run directly under him. It sounds as if the ensuing fight between the Sharptooth and Littlefoot's mother was also trimmed. One notable cut shot was the mother reacting to being bitten in the neck. There was a little more footage of Littlefoot being upset after his mother's death before he meets Rooter. As the script puts it, our little dino is mad at himself and the whole world. Rooter, incidentally, was added rather late in the scripting process, at the urging of psychologists to make the mother's death easier on the audience. That's why the old dinosaur gives his sage wisdom and then just sorta lumbers off. Right after Littlefoot meets Ducky, we have a scene of Sarah discovering the entrance to a cave in the canyon. Unable to go back up, she enters hesitantly. To quote the script, we are getting to see the frightened, vulnerable Sarah with her mask of bravado dropped. She flinches at each sound and quivers at each odd echo. After that, we get the scene where Littlefoot and Ducky meet Petrie. The scene is almost identical, but all of Petrie's dialogue says whistle, 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 with a translation in parentheses. I don't know if they were initially planning to give Petrie nothing but subtitles, but I'm glad they didn't, for the sake of all the children in the audience who couldn't read yet. There's a little extra material written for Spike's birth. A few promotional images show the scene as well. After Spike hatches and promptly falls asleep, Ducky attempts to lure him out with a berry. The others arrive, and Ducky introduces her new friend. Sarah is less than pleased with him.
This is my new friend Spike. Can we take him with us? Huh? Sure. No, he'll slow us down. All Spike Tails can do is eat and burp. The Sharptooth will catch up and eat us.
After this, the movie and the script are pretty in sync with each other for a while. It's only after the second encounter with the Sharptooth, when things begin to really differ. We get a long travel montage of the kids exploring the barren land. Scenes present include Sarah greedily eating a patch of flowers before Ducky can, Petrie being blown from dinosaur to dinosaur in the wind, and the kids playing an underground spring found by Spike. It's been speculated that the song If We Hold On Together, which is performed over the end credits, was written for this travel scene, but the more I think about it, the more I think that's false. While the song does show up in the middle of the soundtrack, around the point where the scene would be, that's because it was the first song on the reverse side of the original record. That way, people could just play the B-side and immediately get that sweet, sweet Diana Ross sound. True, composer James Horner did write a full piece for the 6-minute credits that is partially dialed out in favor of the song, but the same thing happened with his scores for An American Tail and the sequel. If he wrote any music for the travel montage, it hasn't been released. After the montage, the kids were going to run into 2 tribes of dinosaurs, one of which was the same species as Ducky. They offer water to Ducky, but none of the others.
But they need drinks too. They're my friends.
Your friends? A 3-horn? A long neck? A spike tail and whatever that is? Run away before spikes and horns grow on you.
It's revealed that the 2 tribes are at odds. One has food, the other has water. They refuse to share with each other because they come from opposite sides of the swamp, and it's made clear that they will die unless they can learn to coexist. Still thirsty and hungry, the kids march on. I'm not sure if this scene was ever animated. As to why it was deleted, who knows? It wasn't scary, and it tied in well with the movie's anti-prejudice message. On the other hand, it may have been considered too on the nose even for a children's film. But that's all speculation. The biggest difference comes in the film's final act. There was a lot of re-editing and splicing of scenes for this one, so I'm first going to describe what happens in the screenplay, followed by what happens in the actual movie. After the group splits up, Littlefoot going one way, everyone else going the other, we follow Littlefoot on his own. He sees a cloud that looks like his mother, that encourages him to continue moving forward. Then the cloud leads him to the Great Valley. Elated, Littlefoot starts to enter before realizing that if he's at the Great Valley, that means that his friends are 100% going the wrong way. Putting off paradise, he runs back to help the others. Littlefoot is able to rescue his friends, who have all found themselves in various scrapes thanks to Sarah's bad direction. Sarah herself, rather than being humbled by a rescue, is angry and stomps off. The others leave her to go to the valley. As the kids near the valley's entrance, they see Sharptooth sniffing about. Littlefoot realizes that he's not after them this time. He's after a much bigger prize.
It's Sharptooth. He's looking for the entrance to the Great Valley. He wants to get at the herds and we let him here.
To protect the valley's inhabitants, Littlefoot forms a plan to kill the Sharptooth by drowning him in the deep pond. Thanks to Sarah's timely return, they're able to pull it off, although Sharptooth takes Petrie down with him. The friends mourn for a moment, but being this kind of movie, Petrie crawls ashore. Ducky carries him over to the others where they all embrace.
Now we'll always be together.
How long?
Forever. Together.
Now more than just friends. The kids enter the Great Valley and are reunited with their families. At the end, Sarah looks up admiringly at Littlefoot, who's sitting on a hilltop. Above Littlefoot is the cloud in the shape of his mother. This is pretty different to how the final cut played out. In that version, Littlefoot does not find the Great Valley after heading off on his own, but rather comes to the rescue of his friends by instinct. They see the Sharptooth and decide to kill him for the sake of being short one predator. Things are generally quickened in how they happen, and their embrace is moved to the final shot of the movie before the credits. It does make sense on why they wanted to hold back on the Great Valley's reveal. It's the biggest part of the movie, the thing all the dinosaurs have been heading for since the main titles. And even with all the edits that become rather noticeable once you know they exist, the movie works. It's an emotional journey that does not relent until the final moments. The fact that it's been edited so heavily and still holds up shows the film's quality. As for the whereabouts of the missing footage, it's rumored to be lost. However, other missing Bluth clips have surfaced over the years, like the skunk pie scene from Rockadoodle and the hell scene from All Dogs Go to Heaven. So there's a chance we could see it someday. In the end though, while I would love to see an uncut version, I think the film works just fine the way it is. Those sequels didn't get mass-produced for no reason after all. Well, that's it for this video. If you liked it, let me know. I have more early draft scripts I could use for future ones. Thank you for watching.